7 new COVID cases out of almost 70,000 tests, but the New South Wales Premier warns against hitting the Boxing Day sales.
Think twice before you go to the CBD. We'd prefer people did not go to the CBD tomorrow.
After last-minute border chaos, families across the country come together for a very different kind of Christmas. After more than 4 years of negotiations, the United Kingdom finally strikes a crucial post-Brexit trade deal. And Australia likely to field an unchanged team in tomorrow's Boxing Day test. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Gemma Veness. Well, Christmas is supposed to be a time to come together, and after a horror year, the people of Sydney were looking forward to doing just that. But the city's latest COVID-19 outbreak has forced tens of thousands of residents to spend the day in isolation. Even those who could get out were warned about the danger of the virus spreading. But there has been some good news. Just 7 local infections were detected. On a day, New South Wales set another testing record. Jessie Dorset reports.
Those delivering the greatest gift to Sydney this Christmas aren't dressed in red, and they don't ride a sleigh or carry a sack. Some work in scrubs and shields with a swab in hand.
I really want to turn our mind and our attention to those frontline workers who today are not with their families, but working hard to keep all of us safe.
They've tested another record number of residents. Almost 70,000 swabs were taken across the state yesterday. They found 7 new local infections. 6 of those people are already self-isolating. 4 of the cases are part of the Northern Beaches outbreak. 2 are close contacts of infectious patients, and 1 is under investigation, but that person works on the peninsula.
Merry Christmas!
In Manly, there's some festive familiarities.
With presents, pancakes.
But COVID's really put a dampener on celebrations.
It doesn't feel like Christmas at all.
No, it doesn't. No, not at all. But we've just got to make the best of the situation.
It's crazy, but I think the government is doing the right thing and people are respecting the rules.
Rules that are no doubt easier to enforce under gloomy skies.
I don't need to say about social distancing because there's no one here, as you can see.
We are still concerned with potential spread through the CBD, as a number of cases did present in the CBD, and we want to make sure people who've gone back to their suburbs have not passed that on then to others. 2
venues are causing the most concern. 3 cases are connected to a sports bar at Circular Quay. And in nearby Paddington, an alert has been issued for a cafe and deli. A child has become the 4th patient to emerge here. Many more people are in self-isolation.
Don't risk passing on COVID to your friends and family. If you're in isolation, you have to stay in isolation.
Authorities still don't know how the outbreak began. They've revealed a worker at a pub on the Northern Beaches experienced mild symptoms about 2 weeks ago, but none of his close contacts have tested positive. So the question is, who infected him?
We are pursuing many lines of inquiry concurrently.
Leaving just a little time for Christmas cheer this year.
And Jessie Dorset joins me now from Sydney's Pitt Street Mall. Jessie, authorities are saying the danger for the festive season isn't over yet.
Yeah, Gemma, this is one of the major shopping districts around Sydney. Many people here tonight, and it's been like this all day, of course, being Christmas. Tomorrow could be a very different story because it's Boxing Day, and with Boxing Day come the sales. Around most of the shops here, there are signs advertising big discounts. But as we heard from the Premier again today, she's worried about the virus spreading among the CBD. So the last thing they want is a big crowd converging here. Gladys Berejiklian is urging Sydney-siders to stay at home tomorrow, and if you can't resist the urge, wear a mask and shop elsewhere.
Think twice before you go to the CBD. We'd prefer people did not go to the CBD tomorrow, because then you have people from all over Sydney coming to one location. It only takes 1 or 2 cases for it then to spread everywhere else, and we certainly don't want to see that happen.
And Jessie, late today, police have broken up crowds.
Yeah, this happened at Bronte Beach, Gemma, which is in Sydney's eastern suburbs, late this afternoon. The riot squad was called in to move on the partygoers. We can see from the pictures that there were hundreds of people there, but in New South Wales at the moment, outside the northern beaches, public gatherings are capped at 100 people. Officers have the power to issue $1,000 fines to anyone who's caught breaking public health orders. As the city fights to regain control of COVID, Gemma, this is not what authorities want to see.
Jessie Dorset at Sydney's Pitt Street Mall. Thank you. And for those caught up in the Northern Beaches lockdown, Christmas this year looked very different, and it all came down to where you live. While some people were able to celebrate with friends and family, others were forced to spend it in isolation.
The turkey was ready and the drinks too. The Staunton family in North Curl made the most of the relaxed Christmas Day restrictions.
I was anticipating being completely locked down and not doing anything, so I mean, we were delighted that we could have 10 of us.
One of those visitors was Jordan Cahill, who can't spend Christmas with his family, who live in Avalon, which is inside the lockdown zone.
It's a bit different this year. I get to spend Christmas on FaceTime with my family and Christmas with my girlfriend's side of the family.
But there were no guests at the Claverie Christmas table. They're in isolation after finding out they were recently at a gym visited by a positive case.
So we were going to his grandparents, my parents' house, with the family, another family. And then, we were having a whole group of people here over on Boxing Day, and so that won't happen now.
Merry Christmas! The usual in-person get-together was online instead, and the festive feast was a more toned-down affair.
I think I'll have ham on toast made look fancy. We had to scramble to get some food from Woolies. But obviously so was everyone else.
But some traditions stayed the same.
I got some new presents, new toys for my presents, so hopefully it will get no longer boring.
This is Christmas this year.
Gemma Eastwood is also in isolation, which meant she had to spend Christmas at home alone.
I don't have my kids with me this year, and no family, no friends as well. So it's going to be a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of phone calls, and a very quiet day on the couch, maybe catching up on some Netflix.
She'll officially be able to leave her Bilgola house next week on New Year's Day.
I think a lot of us will be doing at least some driveway drinks or catching up in a socially distant way.
Freedom can't come soon enough. Lydia Feng, ABC News.
And there are very different scenes on the other side of the country tonight, where families are reuniting for Christmas. From today, South Australians can travel to WA without having to quarantine for 14 days. Reporter Herlin Kaur joins me now from Perth Airport. Herlin, there must be some very happy passengers arriving there today.
Yes, well, it's certainly a very special Christmas and one to remember for so many West and South Australians who were reunited with their family members here in Perth. That first flight from Adelaide was a full one, and while those travellers will no longer need to self-isolate for 14 days, they were met with health checks upon landing, as well as having a G2G pass on hand. There were some very emotional and happy scenes that we saw here earlier today. This is what some of them had to say.
Dad was meant to be gone for 3 weeks, max.
3 weeks.
But it's been
6.5 months.
We only found out like 3 days ago that I could fly here without quarantine, and it's all happened. I managed to get on a flight, managed to get here. I'm really, really excited.
Fantastic. We didn't think it was going to happen, and it's a year since we've seen our son, so we're very, very happy.
And are there more flights scheduled?
Yes, well, there's just one more flight scheduled from Adelaide to Perth this evening. Already, WA police have seen at least 200 vehicles cross WA's land borders as of midnight last night. And so as it stands, travellers from New South Wales will be the only ones still needing to quarantine for 14 days. If they do decide to enter WA, and it's still uncertain when that would change, it could be weeks, if not months, until WA would reopen to New South Wales.
Helen Kaur reporting from Perth Airport. Despite the border closures and warnings over the virus spreading, Australians have made the most of a unique Christmas day. Thousands joined in church services, while charities opted for takeaway hampers to help those in need. Zalika Rizmal reports.
Christmas Day saw thousands of the Christian faith pause to pray and reflect.
For this year, we've all had that experience. A year of anxiety about health, finances, family and friends.
In Sydney, the Northern Beaches outbreak forced some Christmas services online.
Obviously, we can't see people face to face, which is like we enjoy a lot with the community. But in terms of remembering what Christ has done for us and share the love of God is still the same.
Meanwhile, in Melbourne, after a long winter and months in lockdown, worshippers gathered in person once again. Some churches even welcomed furry friends among the masses. In Adelaide, dancing too was back on the cards, with local communities making up for months of lost time.
To be honest, it's a day that I look forward to every day, to be able to come together.
Others chose to spend Christmas sharing the festive cheer with the less fortunate.
Merry Christmas, mate. Happy holidays. Yeah, take this too. Some presents for you. I used to hate Christmas Day. Now I can't wait. I'm counting down 365 days to go till next year.
Many charities replaced sit-down Christmas lunches with takeaway hampers. In Ballarat, in regional Victoria, this charity reported a jump in the number of people needing a feed.
This year for Christmas, we've seen a 25% increase in the uptake of our Christmas lunch offer. People are struggling.
They help us very much. I see a lot of people to need it this moment, especially for me because my husband passed away and I have that rough time, but it's very nice.
While many Australians are all too eager to farewell 2020, newborn baby Matilda arrived 2 weeks early.
Was hoping to avoid the Christmas date, but that's okay. Good Christmas surprise.
Can't wish for anything better.
New life bringing new hope for a better 2021. Zali Charismal, ABC News.
Hundreds of defence personnel are spending Christmas Day away from home on COVID assist operations or deployed overseas. And after a busy year, which began with the bushfire emergency, the men and women of the ADF are sending best wishes to their loved ones. Here's Defence correspondent Andrew Green.
In 2020, the operational tempo's been high and unrelenting. Now, as the busiest of years draws to a close, the men and women of the ADF are getting to the festive spirit.
Merry Christmas, everyone!
From Africa to Afghanistan, the Pacific and the Middle East, this Christmas nearly 1,500 Australian personnel are deployed overseas.
Merry Christmas!
And they're sending best wishes back home.
I hope you're all having a good day and I can't wait to see you when I get back.
Make sure you have a Merry Christmas and I'll see you soon.
I love you and I miss you and I can't wait to be back with you in the new year.
Many began the year on bushfire operations. Now, as 2021 approaches, hundreds of personnel are again away from home on Operation COVID Assist.
Merry Christmas and I can't wait to see you all soon.
From the bosses, there's high praise.
I sincerely thank you all for all your efforts.
You are shining lights of our country.
And hopes for a much quieter year ahead.
Merry Christmas for all of us!
Andrew Green, ABC News.
4.5 years after it voted to leave the European Union, the United Kingdom has finally struck a post-Brexit trade deal. Frantic last-minute wrangling got it over the line just a week before the deadline, which would have seen the UK crash out of the EU without any formal agreement. And after years of political turmoil, Prime Minister Boris Johnson says Britain has taken back control of its borders, laws and fishing waters. Europe correspondent Linton Besser reports.
One last all-nighter by Brexit negotiators in Brussels and a last-minute Christmas present is all wrapped up.
I'm very pleased to tell you this afternoon that we have completed the biggest trade deal yet, worth £660 billion a year, a comprehensive Canada-style free trade deal between the UK and the EU.
We've got our country back!
It's been more than 4 years since Britain chose to leave Europe, a seismic political rift that felled prime ministers
to serve the country I love
and changed the country forever. Now it's out on its own.
To our friends in the United Kingdom, I want to say, parting is such sweet sorrow.
Boris Johnson claimed the $1.2 trillion tariff-free deal delivered everything the British public was promised.
We've taken back control of our laws and our destiny. We've taken back control of every jot and tittle of our regulation in a way that is complete and unfettered.
A disastrous no-deal scenario was only days away, and millions will be relieved a deal of any kind was finally struck.
We've got certainty now. We know we've got tariff-free access to Europe. The tariffs for our business at White Farms would have amounted to over £4 million per year.
But the UK has yielded significant ground, giving European fishermen licence to plunder its waters for another 5 years and allowing Europe to impose tariffs if the UK undercuts it on labour or environmental standards.
The EU rules and standards will be respected. We have effective tools to react if fair competition is distorted and impacts our trade.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the deal was good and fair, but now firmly cuts the UK from a major centre of power.
And no deal in the world can change reality or gravity in today's economy and today's world. We are one of the giants.
So has Downing Street seized the prize or let it out of its grasp? There is spin galore in this last-minute Christmas Eve announcement, and with thousands of pages of legal text yet to be made public, rest assured this is not the last we'll hear in this Brexit story. Linton Besser, ABC News, London.
More than a quarter of all coronavirus tests in South Africa are now returning a positive result. The country's rate of infection is soaring, with a 40% increase in cases in just 4 weeks. South Africa's health ministry says the rise is likely being driven by a second variant of the virus, which is now also spreading across the United Kingdom.
I think it's very concerning because there's no sign at the moment that we're reaching a peak. There's still rapid exponential growth.
South Africa is on track to pass the peak of daily infections it hit in July during its first wave, with total infections approaching 1 million. Contact tracers in South Korea are struggling to keep up as the country battles its largest wave of coronavirus infections yet. After being praised around the world for the way it kept case numbers low during 2 earlier outbreaks, health officials now admit that success fuelled overconfidence and complacency.
With a fold-out bed and a stash of energy drinks and instant noodles nearby, medical school graduate Jung Hanaram is fighting what feels like a losing battle. He's a COVID-19 contact tracer, working a 24-hour shift in South Korea.
The sense of fatigue is very high now. It is 10 times higher than before the coronavirus spread.
His country is currently experiencing its largest wave of coronavirus infections yet. It beat 2 previous outbreaks with aggressive high-tech contact tracing, which included mining mobile phone data, credit card records and CCTV footage. But after months of touting that approach to the world, South Korea is in trouble.
The authorities knew a much more serious outbreak would be coming, and we were expecting that too. However, confidence had grown in many people's minds and it lowered their guard.
Daily case numbers now hover around 1,000. With some patients dying before they can get a hospital bed, makeshift wards are now being set up.
We've come to believe that everything was going to be okay if we wear masks properly, but that belief slowed us down in preparing for the next step. We need to be critical and learn from that.
The government's been criticised for not securing enough private hospital beds, indecisive social distancing policies, avoiding lockdowns and a slow approach to signing up for foreign vaccines.
We extremely regret that we have fallen behind a bit, where we should be faster and one step ahead of the virus.
A wake-up call for South Korea and the world. Mazoe Ford, ABC News.
COVID restrictions have reigned in Christmas celebrations the world over, but people have found new ways to connect and share in a season marked by giving and togetherness. Religious ceremonies went ahead with fewer people in the pews and more streaming events from the safety of homes.
Christmas Eve Mass at the Vatican, normally attended by up to 10,000 people, this year hosted fewer than 100. But the depth of feeling within St. Peter's Basilica was no less than in years past.
God came among us in poverty and need to tell us that in serving the poor, we will show our love for him.
In the traditional birthplace of Jesus, celebrations were also muted. Processions filled Bethlehem's streets, the crowd usually filled out by thousands of foreign pilgrims. This Christmas, shut out by coronavirus restrictions. In Italy, one of the countries hardest hit by the virus, there was still plenty of festive cheer. Gifts for the most vulnerable, even from strangers, brought joy. Not even the royal family was untouched by the virus.
Of course, for many, this time of year will be tinged with sadness. Some mourning the loss of those dear to them, and others missing friends and family members, distanced for safety. When all they'd really want for Christmas is a simple hug or a squeeze of the hand. If you are among them, you are not alone.
That wasn't the only message from Buckingham Palace.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house,
a loved festive poem delivered by celebrities to raise money for the arts.
I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters.
And a reminder that someone is still on his way around the world.
Santa Claus has been doing this for many, many years, as you know. And he's been through pandemics before and challenges all around the globe.
And from the halls of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. At its first Christmas concert since being ravaged by fire. A message of resilience to help lift Christmas spirits. Randolph Nogel, ABC News.
And Ascendant Australia will likely field an unchanged team in tomorrow's Boxing Day test as it looks to go 2-0 up in the series. Reeling from a dramatic collapse in the first test, the Indian team has made 4 changes in what could be the most unique Boxing Day test in history.
For the first time in 293 days, the mighty MCG will allow people through the turnstiles tomorrow. But the crowd will be capped at a COVID-safe 30,000.
Yeah, it's going to be different, isn't it? Seeing the MCG sometimes with 30,000 in it, you're a bit disappointed when you turn up. But I think tomorrow, again, it's going to have a completely different feel.
The captain made only a brief appearance at today's Christmas net session, and the Aussie top order only had a light hit out before returning to their hub hotel for a festive lunch. The team is likely to be unchanged, and after tearing through India in the last test, the side is preparing for a much tougher contest at the G.
You know, we know India is a proud cricket country. They're an extremely talented test match side with lots of dangerous players.
But India's most dangerous player, Virat Kohli, has flown home. Mohammad Shami is out injured, and Prithvi Shaw and Ridrahim Sahar are scratching for form.
It's all about, I think, staying in the moment, reading the situation well from tomorrow and then play to our potential.
As well as 2 debutants, explosive keeper batsman Rishabh Pant has been brought in and could be the spark to reignite the Indian tour. And gun all-rounder Ravi Jadeja is also back in the side.
We had our team dinner in Adelaide, so we spoke to all of us about being positive, just playing to our strength and play as a team.
India decided not to train today, opting to rest before tomorrow's cricketing feast. Elias Kluwer, ABC News, Melbourne.
While many families opened their presents at home this morning, some kids had to spend their day in hospital. But there was no shortage of Christmas spirit, with Santa stepping by to drop off some special deliveries.
These hospital hallways were brightened by a very welcome visitor.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
With more than 250 presents to deliver at the Queensland Children's Hospital, Santa had his work cut out. Each ward was filled with kids who had to spend the festive season in a hospital bed, but that didn't seem to dampen their day.
I'm very excited!
7-year-old Rowan Gillum has been here for 6 weeks since falling off his motorbike. He's suffered serious brain injuries and lost his eyesight, but his parents say he's powering through.
He's really strong and really determined.
He's very happy and positive. Yeah, still very happy and positive. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking at sort of rehab now, so that's our next stage.
Because of his accident, Christmas for the Gillum family looked a little different this year.
Yeah, normally we'd be doing family things, so normally at home having lunch with mum and dad.
The Children's Hospital Foundation organises this event every year to make sure that kids just like Rowan aren't left behind on Christmas Day. In Melbourne, Santa Claus wasn't exempt from COVID measures when he visited the Royal Children's Hospital. Presents in hand, he also gave the gift of company to kids who couldn't be at home with their families this year.
He's definitely missing his brother and sister, and so to have Santa come was very nice.
As we farewell 2020, these families are hoping that next year they can all be home for the holidays. Jessica Rendell, ABC News.
That's some wonderful work bringing smiles to their faces. Well, let's take a look at the satellite now. A monsoon system is generating heavy rain, storms and gusty winds across the top of far north Queensland and the Northern Territory. Onshore winds are also bringing some rain to the southeast, with the rest of the country remaining mostly clear tonight. Looking around the states for tomorrow, in Queensland, heavy rain is continuing in the north, with several flood warnings in place. And showers are expected to clear in the southeast, and it'll be sunny and hot inland. In New South Wales, cool along the coast, with showers in the north and hot in the west. Mostly sunny and warm across Victoria tomorrow, with possible rain in the northeast. A mostly fine and mild day in Tasmania, with showers on the east coast and windy and overcast conditions in the north. South Australia will be mostly sunny throughout, with a very hot day ahead for western and central parts. For Western Australia, showers and storms in the northeast, with rain clearing in the south. And in the Northern Territory, thunderstorms and heavy rain over the top end and Arnhem Land, and mostly sunny elsewhere. Looking ahead to Sunday's forecasts for the capital cities, Brisbane, Sydney and Canberra, mostly sunny, windy with showers in Melbourne, rain expected in Hobart, possible showers in Adelaide, a fine day for Perth, and possible thunderstorms for Darwin. And that is ABC News for now. I'm Gemma Veness, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. We hope you've had a wonderful day, whatever form it did take, and are enjoying your evening now. Stay with us for the Queen's Christmas message.
I just can't take my